suppose we come to, now we're in 2011, and we're very lucky that the year opens February this year. We have a new Brion Gysin exhibition at the Galerie de France, and it was superbly curated by Catherine Thiek, who knew Brion very well, and the Galerie de France had represented Brion while he was alive, and recently published a book of one collection called Alarme, and that's the name of the current show. The Galerie de France is in the Marais, quite close to where Brion used to live, at Rue Saint-Martin. As you enter the exhibition, it brings you through a series of small calligraphies, and that room is dominated by a very large 1961 canvas, which has, in a sense, colour-wise, it has elements of the desert paintings that Brion did, and yet it has these almost hieroglyphic calligraphy scripts superimposed on that. And as you move around that room, you've got some very interesting pieces, like a tablet of wood that Brion has painted on, that is almost like the evocative of the Moses' Ten Commandments, or some sort of ancient prehistoric art form. And in that, I think one must again appreciate that Brion had a deep interest in the origin of man and the future of man, and in that sense, again, tying through his whole interest in Morocco. One of the fascinating things about the culture of the people of Morocco is that they have had civilization for a hell of a lot longer than most other cultures. You step from that room, which begins with early calligraphies, into the next room, which is more based on the grid patterns. And Brion used cut rollers to make grid patterns, which in a sense he could create buildings, he could create structures, he could create abstracts, or he could create the grids to apply words, letters, words, permutations inside these grids. And so he used grids in many different forms, and it's almost a seamless transition from the calligraphy to the probably more modern-esque, if that's a correct word, approach to mechanical painting, in a sense, by a grid as a mechanical object. And then the exhibition continues into the final room, which is a small room dominated at the back by a 1941 surrealist piece by Brion. It also has some small drawings of Peggy Guggenheim's window that Brion did a very large series of when he was staying with Peggy Guggenheim. So Catherine Thiek has done an amazing job on this exhibition, and you can see from the way it's hung and the choice of the works and the positioning of the works that she benefits from having known Brion and worked with Brion during his lifetime. One of the failings of many people who have looked at Brion's work is that they fail to integrate the Moroccan work in with the modern work and the experimental work in the way that it deserves to be, given the importance of the Moroccan period of Brion's life. 23 years of his life spent in Morocco and absorbing that culture, and many more years afterwards using what he had learned and developed there. And so the Galerie de France show is an extremely important show, small as it may be, in that it is extremely cohesive and tight, and as I mentioned earlier, it confines itself in the main to paintings from the late 1950s and into the early 1960s, and yet with the little drop of one from the 70s, one from the 40s, you can see that without overstressing anything, that the art actually forms a whole, a continuum, and that Brion's work sparks off itself in the cross influences on his many different styles.